have the best of the best in the lax world that we talk to. First guest, Miles Jones. Second guest, Marie Nicole. We go completely off script talking about music, fashion, clothes, whatever just comes to mind. So just be on the lookout. It's coming soon.
Your jacket's fine.
I just wanted to make sure I had everything to the dress to
sharp.
the nines.
It's Friday.
As always, the first weekend of April is upon us. That means a lot of things for a lot of different reasons, for a lot of people.
Like what?
Well, we're going to find out, aren't we, tonight? Everybody gets lacrosse now. That's Travis. I am Tom. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, plenty to talk about tonight. We got highlights from this evening's action along with some keys to this weekend's games. But first, the Inside Lacrosse Media midseason All-American list is out on the men's side.
Interesting stuff here. Headline, I guess, boring because he does it every day and not expected, right?
Headliner.
You're right. The senior attackman leads the nation in points per game at 7.33. He has 66 points in 9 games, 29 goals, 37 assists. Here's the best stat. He is the only player in the nation, the only one to rank in the top 10 nationally in points, goals, and assists, all 3 categories. The clear front-runner for the Tewaaraton right now, I'd say.
He and Grant Ament. Grant Ament's up there.
Okay.
Zach Goodrich, also a guy who's really good. He was a preseason first-team All-American on this list and also a first-team midseason All-American. It's the second straight season Goodrich has been named to this midseason list. He's caused 9 turnovers with 21 scooped-up ground balls, helping anchor a defense that's held 5 teams under 10 goals so far this season. He's also added 3 goals and 2 assists on the offensive side of things for Towson.
Now, UMass's Sean Scanoni wasn't on any of the All-American lists in the preseason, but now he's on the first team. Started from the bottom, now he's here. He's number 1 in the nation in goals against average, yielding just 7.72 goals in his time in net. He's also number 1 in save percentage, stopping 63% of the shots he's faced for the 7-3 Minutemen.
Tell you what, he got off to a slow start, but has really put together a nice season so far. The rest of the list looks like this. We mentioned Grant Ament already broke Penn State's single-season assist record, and he did it in March. He's on this list alongside Spencer and Jeff Deet from Cornell. The midfield features Dox Aiken, Chase Scanlon, and Brian Costabile. Costabile scored 5 goals in that win over Syracuse over the weekend, earning him ACC Player of the Week honors. TD Erlin at the top where he belongs. As for the defense, 2 Duke close defensemen, Cade Van Rapport and JT Giles Harris, voted to this midseason All-American list by the media as well. They're joined by Johnny Surdick from Army.
Yeah, just so you guys know, we're going to get into this a little bit more later on in the show.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to delve into it even deeper.
We will.
I just wanted to present the facts to you first. To the second team we go. An honorable mention preseason All-American before the season, Asher Nolting, moving up to the second team. High Point sophomore star is 5th in the NCAA in both assists and points per game. He's tallied 55 points thus far this season and 30 assists. He scored 7 points twice this season with a career high 5 goals against VMI. Instrumental in those upset wins over Duke and Virginia to start the year.
Kobe up next. Towson's Kobe Smith, one of the 2 Tigers on this midseason second team list. Alex Woodall, the other Towson guy on it. As for Smith, he's gone up against guys like Ethan Walker, Pat Spencer, Jeff Teat, and he's held his own. Not to mention, he's also scored 6 goals and added 3 assists in transition. He's told his best offensive season like in his career ever.
His whole life.
Yeah, he's caused 13 turnovers as well and picked up 20 ground balls. He has stuffed the stat sheet all year long.
The second team list continues with Jared Bernhardt and Michael Sowers there on the attack unit. Sacred Heart Max Tuttle on the midfield. He was the first player in program history to be an All-American. Way back in 2018, not way back, but back in 2018. He's top 10 in the nation among middies in points, goals, and assists. Syracuse's Brendan Curry, another sophomore here on the second team. A lot of young guys. Towson's Alex Woodall, an older guy, senior at the face-off X. Some youth, though, on defense with Chris Fake and Kobe Smith both selected, like we just saw, while redshirt senior out of Rutgers, Max Edelman, who was huge in that win over Ohio State, in goal.
To the third team we go. Boston University's Chris Gray headlines this list. He leads the NCAA with 70 points, has a program record 41 assists to go along with 29 goals. Those 41 assists mark him second in the country. He's had at least 5 points in his last 10 games.
Those are pretty good numbers for a third-teamer. Interesting stuff
sophomore.
there. I know,
Only a sophomore.
And a sophomore, too. Continuing on that third-team list, Mac O'Keefe, who scored 38 goals, good for second in the nation, playing alongside Grant Ament, but good in his own right. A freshman on the list here in the midfield, Penn's Sam Hanley. He's been a big part of the Quakers' 5-game winning streak.
Love this guy.
Gerard Arceri at faceoff. Virginia's Jared Connors getting some love. On defense, 2 seniors and a junior, Chris Sabia with Nick Mellon and Dylan Gaines. 2 goalies on the third team, Tim Troutner Jr. out of High Point, and Jacob Stover.
I can't believe Stover's only third teamer. That guy has been lighting it up this season. We got a group of honorable mention guys. Here's a couple of notable honorable mention players. Kieran Mullins from Rutgers, scoring 4 goals, also had 4 assists of that upset over Ohio State last week. Matt DeLuca, the goalie out of Delaware, also an honorable mention. He's 5th in the nation in goals against average, 3rd in save percentage. You can, of course, see the full list inside lacrosse.com right now.
Okay, so let's get to tonight's action, the actual games, the CAA schedule starting for the women this evening.
Yeah, James Madison, back-to-back champs on the women's side in the CAA and starting their quest for a 3rd straight title tonight.
Taking on a Delaware team who went 6-5 in non-conference play, winners of 3 straight themselves. Very interesting. So let's head out to Newark, as they like to say. Maddie McDaniel off the free position, getting things going for the Dukes. JMU up 3-0 early in this one. She does a lot of draw control work, but getting some scoring column. In the scoring column there. We go later on in the second half as everybody talks it over. It's Claire D'Antonio slices through the heart of this JMU D, just right there, and shoots and scores. They're within striking distance. It's a 4-goal game, 6-2. Anything can happen at this point. But they're the defending champs for a reason. The pressure is too much. McDaniel this time again takes it, but finds Casey Knobloch to put the game out of reach. JMU goes on to win this one 10-3.
Goals at a premium.
That's CAA play. It's gritty.
Speaking of CAA play, William and Mary making the trip to Long Island to take on Hofstra. The Pride at 7-4, boasting one of the best scorers in the country in Alyssa Perella. We'll get to her in a second, but why don't we start with her other superstar, Alexa Matera. She had 4 goals in this one. Hofstra up by 1, but back and forth we go. Lauren Russell from the Tribe going top shelf. She had 4 goals. William and Mary with a 9-8 lead, but Hofstra too much from Perella. She had 6 points in this one, 14-11 your final.
Matera, Perella, we'll be saying those names all schedule long. We've been saying that, actually.
We have been all year long.
Drexel, who went 5-5 in non-conference play, taking on an Elon team looking for a clean slate after losing their last 7. That's what non-conference play is for. And it's Elon using that clean slate to their advantage. Already up 4-0. Nice catch there in front and maneuvering around everybody. What was great? Haley Thompson.
One-woman show. She needs no help.
That's the play of the night. That was incredible. The catch and then the maneuvering there. Elon leads 9-8, though, later on in the second half. Colleen Grady finding a cutting. Jamie Schneider right there in the middle, coming from the left side to the right side of your screen. It's all tied 9-9. Another good game here in the CAA. Later on, less than 2 minutes to go. Elon up 1 goal, looking to pad it on and get a little bit of cushion. Cammie Lynch. Wow, that's speed right there. The nails in the coffin. Elon wins 13-11. Good game.
Phoenix rising. How about we head to the Pac-12, the top 2 teams out west. USC at 7-0 in conference play to take on Colorado, who's 4-1 in the Pac-12. Buffs with an early lead. Sophie Castillo to Miranda Stinson. She had 3 goals. 4-1, Buffs up. Second half, Sophia Donovan to Hope and Hutt. The Colorado lead cut back down to 3. But more from the Buffs. Chloe Willard to Samantha Nemiroff. What a win for Colorado. They hold on 9-8 your final. Down go the Trojans. Will be interesting to see how that affects the media poll this week.
Good games tonight.
Yes.
Those were all really good.
Way to kick things off.
Wow. Oh, we've got some throwbacks for the Syracuse Orange with a different shade of blue to reflect the days of yore. Right or wrong?
We'll tell you. And those weren't the helmets, by the way. Plus, we'll take a look at the women's action heading your way tomorrow, including a top 15 matchup between Navy and Loyola in the Patriot League.
Storylines galore in that game.
All sorts
Can't
of
wait
stuff.
to share
Good
them.
stuff.
And in the ACC, can Duke bounce back against what's now a hot Notre Dame team, kind of? I don't know.
Kinda.
Next.
Irish. Hanging on.
Shootout for Soldiers, the 24-hour lacrosse event that supports American veterans, kicks off 2019 in Atlanta on May 18th at Kennesaw Mountain High School. The continued support of the Atlanta community has helped raise awareness to the challenges that veterans face on a daily basis. Registration is now open. Visit shootoutforsoldiers.com to learn more and to register. 24 hours, one game, one goal. Support our troops.
Speed. Power. This trophy is not given, it must be earned. The NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships. May 25th through 27th at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia.
In the stick, boom, on the money, cradle and a pass. Win the first championship!
Visit ncaa.com/lacrosse to get your tickets today.
Lacrosse Now is brought to you in part by New Balance Lacrosse. Built for lacrosse. All right, now time to look ahead to Saturday's slate. The saying goes, April showers bring May flowers. In lacrosse, April wins leads you to hearing the word in come May.
That was prophetic of you.
Hey.
Very nice. Huge conference games this weekend that will have an impact on who makes their league tournaments. Let's start in the Patriot League, shall we? Number 15, Lehigh visits second-ranked Loyola. For the Mountain Hawks, the key to the game, pretty simple. They have to find a way to keep Pat Spencer to 5 or less points. Both of the Greyhounds' losses have come when he's tallied less than 6 points. For Loyola, they need to keep that stove lit.
Yup.
Goalie Jacob Stover is the stove and has double-digit saves in every game this season. He ranks top 5 in the nation in saves per game and save percentage.
How about we go to the ACC? Stakes are high as Notre Dame heads to Duke. For the Blue Devils, they need an ACC win. The key to tomorrow's game, find a leader. Duke's offense hasn't found a consistent replacement for Justin Gutterding yet this season, whether it's Joe Robertson, Brad Smith, Nakai Montgomery. Somebody needs to be the guy. For Notre Dame, they've got to find a mismatch. Duke's defense really good, especially Cade Van Raphorst and JT Giles-Harris. Told you about them being first-team midseason All-Americans. But the Irish have a number of options offensively. Pick a good one, have them beat their man. Seems that easy.
And we've seen teams that have beat Duke do that with different guys around the field. All right, staying in that league, the ACC, the only unbeaten teams left in ACC play, UNC taking on Virginia.
Didn't have these in the preseason poll.
We did not. For the Tar Heels, they need to keep the young guns firing. Freshman goalie Caton Johnson is coming off that huge debut, shutting the door on Duke, while at the other end of the field, the entire starting attack unit is made up of freshmen. So they got to perform, obviously. For UVA, converting on the extra man will be key. The Heels have taken 21 more penalties than their opponents this year, but Virginia ranks outside the top 50 in the country on man-up situations, converting just 27% of the time.
That's not good.
Not good.
Going to want to do better. In the CAA, 17th ranked UMass comes off a scare against Drexel, now takes on Hofstra. The key for the Minutemen, get running and gunning early. This is a team that likes to get up and down, but slow starts have been an issue at times. UMass trailed Drexel 6-2 at the half before coming back to win last week. For Hofstra, got to spread the love offensively. When Ryan Tierney gets help, the Pride has been as tough as anybody, including last week against Towson. We'll see if middies like Sterling Ardrey and Joey Lardy can get involved once again like they did against the Tigers.
Or maybe if even Jimmy Yanis can step up. In the Big Ten, 18th ranked Rutgers heads to Hopkins. Now the key for the Scarlet Knights is simple. Get up and play like you did last week at Ohio State. Rutgers played their best game of the year, knocking off the previously unbeaten Buckeyes, and they've really gotten up for the big games this year. They just haven't really got up for some of the other ones. So on the Hopkins side, they need to follow the freshman Joey Epstein. The former #1 recruit ranks first on the team with 23 goals and 33 points so far. Like it or not, he's the guy that helps that offense run, and when he's been going, so have they.
Elsewhere in the conference, Michigan heads to College Park to take on Maryland. For the Wolverines, they need to follow their Noseworthy. That would be Brent Noseworthy. He scored a goal last week against Hopkins after missing the last 3 games due to injury. As for the Terps, all they have to do is hope the Penn State effect continues. And Tom, you may ask, what is the Penn State effect?
What's the Penn State effect, Travis?
Why don't we show you? Every team but Robert Morris that has lost to Penn State has then gone on to win their next game this season.
And look at those scores.
Right.
Like in impressive fashion.
I mean, think about it. This is almost kind of remarkable. They've started with big wins. With Villanova, the Wildcats lost to Penn State 17-7. Bounced back, they knocked off Yale. Penn responded by winning 5 straight after their loss. He had including that ranked win over Villanova. Cornell smashed Towson, who was #1 in the country, after they lost to the Nittany Lions. So maybe the Terps are going to win big.
Maybe they will. I mean, that's been the trend. Penn State, they get up, you see Penn State play you, and you're like, oh, I'm really mad now because we got dominated. Let's go out next week and see what we can do.
See, there you go. All you got to do is play Penn State like right before you go to the NCAA tournament. Then you're going to win it.
I think whoever's in the Big Ten tournament will probably share that thought. Speaking of Villanova, the Wildcats head to Denver for a Big East battle tomorrow. The key for Nova, got to get off a better start than they did last year against Denver. The Pioneers scored 18 first-half goals on their way to a big win. So, yeah, for Denver, keeping it balanced will be key. They have 3 different players with 20-plus points this season, 6 guys with double-digit points themselves.
Well, in case you weren't interested in any of those games we just gave you keys to, here are a couple more to keep your eye on. It's college lacrosse galore here tomorrow. BU and Army, big one in the Patriot League. Terriers sit at 2-2 in league play. The Black Knights 4-1 so far. Keep an eye on that one. Could be big when it comes to standings at the end of the regular season. In Ivy play, Yale looks to bounce back against Dartmouth. Should be a W for the Bulldogs. While the last 2 unbeatens in that conference, Brown and Penn, didn't have that in the preseason.
No.
Absolutely didn't. Those 2 meet in Providence. In the SoCon, keep your eye on Air Force and High Point. Panthers looking to catch back up in that conference after they lost to Jacksonville earlier in conference.
And Air Force always brings it, so they'll be tough, especially with this group.
Absolutely.
All right, in the CAA, our game of the week takes us to Philadelphia. Drexel hosts Delaware in a matchup with 2 teams eyeing spots towards the top of the conference rankings. The Blue Hens opened conference play by beating Fairfield 15-7, while the Dragons sort of blowing some fire on themselves after allowing UMass to come back and win by 1 after they had a big game lead in that game.
See what you did there. Game time, set for 1 p.m. Eastern Time right here on Lac Sports Network tomorrow. Brendan Glasheen, Malcolm Chase on the call as the Blue Hens make the short trip to face the Dragons. Big one in conference. A couple of teams that are expecting to be in the CAA tournament at the end of the year, and they're going to have some competition for those spots.
You know Drexel doesn't want to go 0-2.
No, definitely not.
And remember, you can start your day with us. A cup of coffee, you can have your eggs, maybe a bagel. That's what I'll have tomorrow. Right here, LSN College Central, 11:30 a.m. Eastern every Saturday. It's like game day for lacrosse. We set the stage for all of the day's biggest games. LSN College Central, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, for free, right here on LSN.
It's a great brunch time, you know? Put us on your phone if you're going out to brunch. We'll join you. As for now, coming up on this show, was it right or wrong for Townsend defenseman Kobe Smith to only be a second-team mid-season All-American? We'll debate that
We sure will. Plus, we get you ready for Saturday's women's action, including a couple of big games in the Big Ten. We'll tell you about the potent offense Hopkins will have to deal with this week.
Designing extra man offense plays, it's best to incorporate some element of surprise to try to confuse the defense. This 1-4-1 to a 3-3 uses a ball side slip screen to try to get an easy look in the crease. It's best suited for intermediate to advanced skill levels. The trigger on this play is the player at X. I'm going to have him go to the left, but feel free to mirror this and you can go to the right as well. He's going to carry to the left side. As this action occurs, we're going to get a little slip screen right here between these two players. The other crease man is going to roll off and be an outlet, and these two players are going to exchange on the backside. In an ideal world, the defense overreacts to this player popping out, leaving an open dunk right on the crease. If neither of these players is open, we want to move the ball to the backside, and this player should turn the corner and shoot and score if no one's covering him. Otherwise, he should have an easy look right in front or a skip to the top middle guy.
In the women's game, we have some more games this week, and they're very entertaining.
We do. They're big games. This is conference
Yeah, now
play.
that we're in conference play, it gets, like everyone says, it's a new season, everything's amped up, phase 2, so it's no longer phase 1. It's no longer February, so these games matter.
Wipe the slates clean. Let's see if you can get into the conference tournament.
Let's go to the Big Ten. This could be an interesting game. Northwestern, Johns Hopkins going at it. The Blue Jays will have to contend with a dynamic duo of Selena Lasota and Izzy Skane. Those two combined for 20 goals last weekend. 2 players in the team's win over Penn and Penn State. The Wildcats now have 4 straight wins. Meanwhile, Johns Hopkins with one of the best performances of the season when they beat Towson 10-3 earlier this week. These two teams last met in 2018. That was an 11-10 Northwestern win, so you know it's going to be a good one. 10 a.m. Eastern, so have your breakfast, watch the game, then watch us, ESPNU.
Yeah, there you go. Elsewhere in the Big Ten, one of the biggest games of the day. 2 of the last 3 unbeaten teams in the women's game go at it. Number 2 Maryland hosting 7th-ranked Michigan. The Terps coming off a 16-6 midweek game win over 7th-ranked Virginia, where Kathy Reese became the program's all-time winningest coach. Michigan, meanwhile, still off to their best start in program history. They're at 12-0. Last year, though, Maryland beat Michigan 16-9. The Terps 4-0 all-time against the Wolverines. But this is a different Michigan team. These aren't your...
We keep saying that they're off to their best start in season history, program history. Pretty soon it's going to be their best season in program history, right?
Yeah, well, it already is.
Right, yeah, which is awesome. It's a great thing. So
one of the best stories in the women's game.
It sure is. The top-ranked Boston College Eagles, another great story, might get another test as 12th-ranked Duke comes to town. Red Bandana Alumni Day in Newton, so it'll be special. BC a perfect 13-0 now, beating Notre Dame 13-9 on Wednesday. Duke 8-4, but they played a lot of the top teams pretty close thus far. So it'll be interesting to see Sam Apuzzo go up against those Jenners in the draw control circle. That's a noon start on ACC Network Extra. Olivia and Maddie.
Yeah.
Not Kylie and Kendall.
The other Jenner sisters. 13th and 14th. Could you imagine? Craziness.
No.
13th and 14th ranked teams in the nation go at it. Navy visits Loyola. There are several great facts about these two teams, so we're going to discuss. First, they are the last 2 unbeaten teams in the Patriot League standings, both at 4-0. they have also each combined to win each of the last 9 Patriot League championships. They both made the NCAA tournament last year, the first time in Patriot League history that 2 Patriot League teams made the NCAA tournament in the same season. Unfortunately, they met in the second round. The Mids won 19-15 to make it to the quarterfinals. Loyola this year led by Livy Rosenwig, Navy led by Kelly Larkin. All that good stuff on the line, 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Stadium.
So many storylines.
A lot of storylines.
Elsewhere around the country, we have more. A Big East battle between Denver and Georgetown, both 1-0 in the conference. Pioneers and 9-2 overall. Hoyas at 7-4. Penn and Brown going at it in Providence. Penn at 2-0 in Ivy League play. Brown at 2-1. Princeton and Dartmouth also in the Ivy League, which should be a good one. Dartmouth 3-0 in Ivy play. Princeton at 1-1. And in the ACC, North Carolina and Louisville.
How about we look ahead to Sunday? The Towson women taking on James Madison. An uncharacteristically down year in the non-conference for the Tigers, with the Dukes more up than down overall, but still a little bit more down than they were last year. It's tough to be better than they were last season when they were undefeated entering they were undefeated entering conference play. Both say the slate is now wiped clean, though, and if history is any indication, it's going to be another good one. One of these 2 programs has won the CAA championship in 15 of the last 16 seasons. JMU, of course, beat Towson last year in the title game, 16-10.
Interesting stuff. A lot of storylines there as well. And you can see this game right here on LAC Sports Network and the LSN app. Noon on Saturday from Harrisonburg, Virginia. I'm on the call. I'll be there, which is fun.
Yeah.
Along with Liz Robertshaw. Towson making their CAA debut, and JMU, as you just saw, they beat Delaware. So they're playing their second game in 3 days.
Centerra Park, the spot. Anyway.
Lovely.
We still got more things to get to here in Lacrosse now. We get some Division III talk going. We'll talk with Babson head coach Michelle Smith, how they're approaching their 2-game in 2 days weekend, including a big matchup with Tufts.
I'm tired just thinking about 2 games in 2 weeks.
Busy.
Yeah, we got that here on LSN, so I shouldn't be saying anything. Michael Sowers, I got to get ready. He's a second-team All-American midseason form-wise, and Jeff Teed, a first-team All-American on the midseason list. Is all that right or is all that wrong? I won't butcher it next after we talk about it. We'll play that game with today's midseason American list.
You got this.
Next.
Jake and Brody are not brothers, not related whatsoever, just share a last name. And Brody with a hat trick.
Towson tying it up, McLean. Nice play here, the big guy coming off of that pick there. Just bodies right there, gets into his defender, and then uses him as a screen. Does a nice job dropping his level.
Speed. Power. This trophy is not given, it must be earned. The NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships. May 25th through 27th at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia.
In the stick, boom, on the money, cradle and a pass. Win the first championship!
Visit ncaa.com/lacrosse to get your tickets today.
welcome back, everybody. The Inside Lacrosse midseason All-American list headlined by none other than Pat Spencer. The senior attackman leads the nation in points per game at 7.33, 66 points in 9 games, 29 goals, 37 assists. He's also the only player in the nation to rank in the top 10 nationally, points, goals, and assists, and he's got a good shot at that Tour Time award.
Yes, he does. How about Connor Kirst? He headlines the second team, the Villanova junior, breaking out as their leader this season. 35 points, 22 goals, 13 assists. He's had some big games, too, at least 5 points in 4 games, including a 7-point effort in the loss to Penn, a game you saw here on LSN. Part of a number of notable guys on this second team midseason All-American list, including Chris Fake of Yale, the defenseman. That's an interesting one.
Virginia's Ryan Conrad on that third team. You see his name there. The senior midfielder with 22 points, 7 ground balls in their 10 games thus far. He scored at least 2 points in 9 of those 10 games. He also has 46 ground balls, 6 caused turnovers. He was hurt and only played like 5 games last year, so nice bounce back. You also see guys like Sam Hanley, the freshman on this third team. Chris Gray from BU is in the top statistically in a lot of categories in the NCAA. Gerard Arceri, face-off guy. Jacob Stover, Stove's lit.
Still lit.
We're going to see if it's lit tomorrow. It's going to be exciting.
Big game.
So, without any further ado, because this is, we're halfway through the year, and interesting selections at some points here.
Yeah.
So, we're going to play some right or wrong. And we're going to start with Jeff Teat and Michael Sowers. Jeff Teat, first-team All-American. Michael Sowers, not on this list. He's a second-team All-American. So, is that right or is that wrong?
So this is tough because when you look at them statistically, they are very, very close. Teat with 5.11 points per game, Sowers with 5.44. However, part of this for me, especially for an attackman, like you doing it on a team that isn't performing well doesn't sell it for me.
So you're talking about Sowers?
Yes.
Okay.
And so with Sowers, I mean, they're 0-3 in the Ivy League. They're 3-6 overall. At some point, I have to think, like, if you are that good and you're a first-team All-American, you have to have your team at least in contention in your conference. And Princeton isn't even in contention in the Ivy League. They're likely going to miss the Ivy League tournament. That, to me, tells me that Jeff Teat gets the edge because while Cornell hasn't been as good as maybe we thought they were going to be, they've still been better than Princeton, and they are still a team to be reckoned with in the Ivy League.
All right, I'll make the argument, though, just to play devil's advocate here, about some of the help the supporting cast
you're right.
around Jeff Teat. And so I feel like sometimes when these rankings are made, the supporting cast is considered.
It's not like...
It is considered.
It's not like Sowers is playing out there with a bunch of middle schoolers.
No, that's true. I think... As we get to the second team here, I'll go take over this one for right or wrong, I guess. So our second idea here for right or wrong, if we can scroll ahead here on the teleprompter because I can't remember. Kobe Smith on the second team is what I'm ready for now. All right, Kobe Smith on the second team was what we were saying. Should he be on the first team and with those other defensemen in terms of Cade Van Raphorst, JT Giles Harris? Basically, it's 2 Duke guys and Johnny Surdick, who I guess he's got better stats than anybody
Surdick's been
out of this list out of 4. I don't think there should be 2 Duke guys there because to me that kind of blends into the same argument as you got some help from your buddy when you got guys like that. So I think Kobe Smith's stats offensively sort of give him the edge there. But at the same time, Van Raphorst and JT Giles Harris have also gone up against some really good offenses and some really good attackmen.
So right or wrong?
Is that right or wrong?
Kobe Smith, second team, right or wrong?
I think it's wrong.
You think it's wrong? You think he's a first teamer?
I'm going just because of what Duke has as a whole on defense.
So
that's what I'm going with. It took me a couple seconds to get there.
I went into this, and I mean, you look at some of the other guys on this list. I mean, he's joined on this second team list by Chris Fake, who was maybe unanimously a first team All-American in the preseason. He's that highly regarded. Yale's defense has struggled a little bit overall, which is one of the reasons he's here. If this poll was taken 2 weeks ago, Kobe Smith may be on the first team because what he did against Pat Spencer, how he matched up. I mean, the Cornell loss was tough in terms for the whole defense as a whole, but he did a pretty decent job on Jeff Teague. Clark Peterson just destroyed Towson.
Right.
And you look at what he did against Ethan Walker. Ethan Walker had 1 goal matching up against Kobe Smith, and then you add in the offensive stats. That gives you a full picture of how good he is. However, I think the last couple of weeks have hurt Towson overall. I mean, we saw the guys get drafted in the MLL draft. Part of the reason they were buying when they're up. So I don't know. I'm now hesitant because I think Cade Van Rapphorst and JT Giles Harris have been that good.
And you look at some of the comparisons of the guys they've gone up against in terms of Pat Spencer. Ethan Walker didn't score against Duke.
Yeah.
And Pat Spencer had a worse game against Duke than he had against Towson. So
3 points
I think that's sort of, I mean, Kobe Smith on the offensive end has been better, but at the end of the day, I think comparison to the guys who are actually going up against.
Just talk yourself into saying that it was right.
Moving on, let's go to our third one. Chase Scanlon's on the first team as a freshman. We are moving on from this one. He's been outstanding this year for Loyola coming out of that midfield.
Yeah.
I really liked him, and I think he's very talented. Is this right or wrong, though?
Right. First of all, the midfield is not extremely deep in across the country. You look at, you could make 5 teams of All-American attackmen before I think a lot of people could make 2 midfield teams with the amount of talent we have when you look at the attack position compared to the midfielders right now. So I love the Scanlon pick. And look, part of it is the fact that he's playing on an offense with Pat Spencer, because that makes everybody better, including the midfielders have so much less to worry about because Spencer has to be taken care of by a pole, and then you got to worry about Lindley, and you got to worry about Olmstead, and so all of a sudden Scanlon is the 4th guy you got to worry about on that offense, and so he's getting a pole or a shorty matchup, and that has worked out well for him. So part of this, yes, is the matchup, but he as a freshman has been really, really good in his first season, deserving of this notoriety.
So you're going right. I want to say right. I think Max Tuttle deserves some consideration there as well.
Sacred Heart is competing in that conference, but they've been a little disappointing.
They've been a little disappointing, but you just said that Scanlon's the 4th option. Max Tuttle is the guy for Sacred Heart. Everyone's focused on him, and he still put up numbers akin to Scanlon. I think right on par with him for the most part. So I think I'm going to go wrong. I think Tuttle deserves the nod there, and I think just because, like you just said, Scanlon's the 4th option on that offense for the most part. I think a couple times he's been the 2nd or 3rd, and he's excellent. And I think that's the best part about the midseason list is that we get to see what happens in conference play, and then really get a good indicator of where these guys land. And I think you could have had 4 midfield. I think Tuttle deserves that consideration.
All right. How about the final one? We're going outside the list, and we're going to go with
a little fun here. Okay.
We're going to go with Syracuse. Syracuse not playing this weekend, but still making some noise, unveiling these throwback helmets that they're going to wear on Tuesday
against Cornell
when they take on Cornell. Big midweek game.
All right, Travis thinks they're right, everybody.
Are you right or wrong on the throwback helmets, Tom?
I just don't get the color.
What do you mean you don't get the color?
It's a little too royal blue.
No, but that's throwback. Have you looked at their throwback uniforms?
I guess
these are sweet, and then
they have to match. As long as they match everything going on.
I'm sure they will.
I need to see the rest.
And you, of anybody, growing up outside of Syracuse, has to love that old school Syracuse logo.
I grew up in the city, actually, Travis. So I mean, that's even closer to
you moved out of the city.
Yeah. Now we know my origins, but at the same time, I do. Well, I
that
think
block S. That's
the color was a little jarring for me at first, but I like the color. It's not like I don't like the color. It just was a little jarring. It's like, oh, the Syracuse is a navy, but I guess back in the day they were. I'm interested to see the whole ensemble. I'm not ready yet. I can't make a decision right here. I've been very indecisive.
These are so right. They are so right. Can't wait for these uniforms. That game's going to be so much fun.
I can't wait for that game.
That's huge.
That game is right.
By the way,
a Tuesday night. Oof.
That game. Not must win, but pretty close to a must win for both.
Yeah.
When you look at down the stretch, that's a big game for both teams.
It is. It's going to be exciting. Can't wait. Tuesday night.
Mark it down.
All right. Well, we've got other big games going on tonight. Final month of the NLL season. Playoff spots, seeding on the line, which each team has to do to get a good spot and make it. And some highlights are coming up, too.
Got a couple of good games going on tonight. And big weekend for the Babson Beaver women, where their head coach says they can be successful in conference play.
Shootout for Soldiers, the 24-hour lacrosse event that supports American veterans, kicks off 2019 in Atlanta on May 18th at Kennesaw Mountain High School. The continued support of the Atlanta community has helped raise awareness to the challenges that veterans face on a daily basis. Registration is now open. Visit shootoutforsoldiers.com to learn more and to register. 24 hours, one game, one goal. Support our troops.
D3 Life. Let's do it. A look around Division III now. Some great matchups in the women's game. 25th ranked Washington College taking on Muhlenberg. 9th ranked Wesleyan at 8-1 takes on unbeaten 8-0 Tufts on the road on Saturday. 11th ranked Colby at 6-2 heading into 3rd ranked Middlebury. And then Tufts, that's quite the turnaround, hosting Babson on Sunday. That Babson team could pose a threat, especially with Tufts on a back-to-back weekend. Babson 6-3, 2-0 in NUMAC play. They're led by senior star Lexi Lenigan, a Hofstra transfer who's put up 42 goals in 9 games already this year, 14 goals just last week. Travis joined now by their coach, Michelle Smith.
And we have Babson coach Michelle Smith joining us now. Coach, you guys are off to a good start in conference, 6-3 overall. Just give me broad thoughts on your team. Where are you guys at this point in the season?
Sure. I mean, we're right where we want to be. We are happy with how things have started. We're happy with how we've competed in all the games that we've played thus far. And we're really happy with our progress. I think our focus was growth this season, and we're definitely doing that.
It's hard not to be happy with the senior in Lexi Lenigan that you have at the attack position. She's been terrific once again this year. Just when you've looked at her this season so far, because I know she was good last year as a junior, this year, what have you seen from her?
Well, I think she's continuing to do her thing. She's continuing to be productive on the offensive end, but I think what is making her even more productive and what is adding to that growth for our team is just how she's incorporating all of her teammates. She's working to make those around her better, and she's doing a great job of it. So, you know, teams are obviously keyed into her. People have made adjustments in their game plans. And with it, she's able to make adjustments, and she's also able to help her teammates make adjustments so that we can continue to be productive, which is so important.
She obviously came in as a transfer from Hofstra last year, and teams probably were trying to figure out, at least in conference, what she had, and now they certainly know. What kind of adjustments as a coach do you make, knowing that, and now there's no secret about what Lexi's got?
Right. Well, I mean, I'll be honest. It was a pretty quick read for her last season as well. So I think we've been just dealing with this since a few games in last season. But Lexi's the type of player that you just you want to let her make the adjustments that she reads. She has such a great feel for what's happening on the field, and she has such a great feel for what defensive units are throwing at her. So we want to be able to support her in that. We want to be able to provide that guidance and really give her the room to like I said, find her looks and get her looks, but also make sure that she's helping our whole offense get their looks.
So you guys already have a couple of impressive wins so far this season, and you got another couple of chances coming up for big ranked opponents, especially when you have go to Tufts on Sunday. I know it's part of a double-header weekend for you, Saturday and Sunday. How do you approach it, knowing I know that the girls you're going to want them to focus on Saturday, but they're certainly going to look toward the big matchup on Sunday?
Absolutely. Well, I think, you schedule doubleheaders to be exposed to this environment. You schedule doubleheaders to get prepared for a playoff push, and that's exactly what we're doing here. So, I think what our team has done a great job of this season is recognizing that, in the position that we're in within our conference, we have a target on our back. And I think they're doing a great job to own that target. They're not shying away from that, and they're embracing it. And we know that in our conference, we have to be prepared to see everybody's best effort. So we know that we're a team that people are going to circle on their calendars and get up to play, and so we have to match that, and we have to be ready to embrace that and thank our opponents for that opportunity to really be pushed into our best. So we know we'll be provided that opportunity on Saturday in conference, and on the flip side, I think we can really sort of say we're going to carry that same mentality into Sunday. We want to be prepared to be at our best. We want to put our best out on the field, and we expect to see the best from Tufts. And so, it's really kind of an ideal scenario for our team to practice the mindset that they've been working on all season.
And what does it mean for you guys to be able to kind of carry that NUMAC, the flag, into a game against a NESCAC school that's obviously up there to the top of the rankings in the country?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a wonderful opportunity, and we're really proud to have that opportunity. We joke around as NUMAC coaches about, representing the NUMAC, and Ann Verspril was on the bus on her way up to Middlebury last night, and I'm telling her to rep the NUMAC the best that she can, and that's what we're going to look to do on Sunday. And so I think, we're in a unique position just here in New England, having some of the greatest lacrosse programs in Division III just surrounding us. And so we're pleased to be in the thick of it. We're pleased to be considered one of those teams sort of in the mix. And we just look to, wear that NUMAC logo with pride on Sunday.
Oh, Coach, we're looking forward to seeing you guys in action this weekend. Good luck with the doubleheader, and we'll catch up again soon. Thanks so much. Great to chat.
Thanks, guys. Good stuff. Some quick picks from this weekend Division I action are on the way. Thank God I don't have to think anymore. I struggled earlier with that.
Just make a pick.
Just make a pick. Michigan versus Maryland women's side of things. Are we brave enough to pick the Wolverines?
Maybe. I don't know about you.
And the NLL weekend has begun. Score update. You got to see what the score is right now in Georgia, with some playoff scenarios mixed in. What it all means, what life means, is next.
Swarm it up.
Shootout for Soldiers, the 24-hour lacrosse event that supports American veterans, kicks off 2019 in Atlanta on May 18th at Kennesaw Mountain High School. The continued support of the Atlanta community has helped raise awareness to the challenges that veterans face on a daily basis. Registration is now open. Visit shootoutforsoldiers.com to learn more and to register. 24 hours, one game, one goal. Support our troops.
Speed. Power. This trophy is not given, it must be earned. The NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships. May 25th through 27th at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia.
In the stick, boom, on the money, cradle and a pass. With the first championship!
Visit ncaa.com/lacrosse to get your tickets today.
All right, let's head indoors where the season is winding down. The stakes are high in the playoff push. We'll start with New England. The Black Wolves can clinch a postseason berth with a win versus San Diego tomorrow or losses by both the Wings and the Nighthawks. Speaking of Philadelphia, the expansion franchise would be eliminated from playoff contention with a loss against Calgary tomorrow afternoon, or if the Black Wolves win against the Seals, Philadelphia eliminated there from playoff consideration if that is the case. Moving on to the Nighthawks, similar situation for them. They're eliminated from the playoff race with a loss against Toronto or a Black Wolves win. Philly, Roch, and New England, the three teams vying for the final playoff spot in the East. The Black Wolves have a significant leg up there. So I think it's going to be New England, but wouldn't it be fun if it wasn't?
Tomorrow, yeah, it would be fun. If we get down to last week, that'd be great. At the top of the East, the Bandits entered the weekend with a chance to clinch a home game in the first round of playoffs by beating the Rock tonight. We'll get to that game in just a second because it's very close and very exciting. And we're going to show you a little bit of the highlights from it. Similar spot for the Swarm. Georgia playing San Diego tonight with a chance to clinch a home playoff game in the first round with a win. Or clinching a home game if the Rock loses twice this weekend. Are the Rock on the way of doing that? I don't know. We're going to find out in a moment.
Out west, a trio of teams have clinched playoff spots. The Seals have a chance to clinch a home game in the first round. They do it with the win versus Georgia tonight. We'll get to that game in a second. Or they can also win against New England tomorrow. That's likely going to have to be the option there. You'll find out in a second why. San Diego also can clinch a home playoff game with a Colorado loss or a Calgary loss. So there are other options there. Just tonight may not be the best one.
Wow, that's a tease and a half. You guys have to watch. I know.
Yeah.
The Mammoth looking to win for a different reason. Colorado clinches a playoff spot with the win against the Rush tomorrow night. Pretty simple. While the Warriors would be eliminated from playoff contention if the Mammoth beat the Rush, Colorado has a significant edge in the race for that final spot in the West. Of course, you win and you're in. That's all cool. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Which brings us to tonight's pair of games. Let's get to the highlights as they kick off a busy weekend.
No, we're going to check in on Vancouver real quick.
Oh, there was Vancouver.
Yeah.
We talked about them briefly, but we're going to start in the East, right, Travis?
Yes, we are. We're going to start there with the Bandits looking to clinch that home playoff game, a game that is really good.
It's really exciting.
Trying to stay a game up in the standings as well.
Yeah.
Buffalo taking on the Toronto Rock. This is a game that is still ongoing. We're going to show you some first half highlights here. Early on, how about the Rock? Starting off strong. Shalon Rogers to Johnny Pallas. We're all knotted up at one apiece, but Dane Smith with answers. They don't call him the Great Dane for nothing. Maybe an MVP candidate this year, but Toronto hanging in throughout. Rob Hellyer leaping across makes it 3-3. Then Tom Schreiber, BTB to Hellyer, makes it 5-4 Toronto. They would take a 6-4 lead at the half. Buffalo would storm back in this one. But as we take a look, this one has just gone final.
Uh-oh, what happened?
The Rock winning it in overtime. We were tied at 11 at the end of regulation. The Rock came back in order to win it in OT. So the Rock getting a big win here tonight. And a win that they definitely needed after some of the struggles they've had the last couple of weeks. The game winner going to Brandon Slade on the feed from Rob Hellyer.
Yeah,
just a minute into
12-11
overtime.
the final there. Yeah, there we just got the update there in our full screen. So
There you
12-11 the final. Huge win for the Rock, Travis.
Gigantic.
I mean, they were, on the top of our power rankings and sort of slumping, but a couple of big weeks in a row.
Yes.
All right, so down in Georgia, the first meeting between the Seals and Swarm ever in the history of their franchises. We'll start in the first. It's 4-1 Georgia. But it's Austin Stotts. He had a goal tonight and trying to get revenge on his brother. And there's Lyle Thompson, who makes it 6-3 Swarm. Later in the second, Swarm still up 3. Miles rips it and scores and make it 7-3. And then some more Lyle. Lyle, Miles, some other brothers also doing some things other than the Stottses. You get the idea from this one, and yeah, you're going to see what happens because
Lots too little.
There's not much time left. Georgia winning 17-9 over San Diego, who leads the West Division, everybody.
Yeah, this is a statement by Georgia.
San Diego was second in our power rankings this week, their highest
Not
ever in
gonna
the
be there
history of the
anymore.
world. Dan Dawson had 3 goals in the loss, Thompson 4 goals. Now, Randy Stotts had a goal and 4 assists, while Austin, the brothers going up against each other, Austin just a goal and an assist. So that's an interesting result, and so is the one with Buffalo and Toronto tonight.
Yeah.
Just wait till tomorrow.
Our power rankings are really going to change this week.
Well, it's going to be fun.
It's going to be all sorts of fun.
I know. Does Buffalo
we
stay
have
there?
a new #1 team.
I don't know. That's a good question. We'll see what happens with Toronto tomorrow.
Yeah, there you go.
All
True.
right.
Okay.
Remember, you can catch up on the latest NLL highlights, power rankings, and news right here on Lac Sports Network all the time and on the LSN app. You just had to watch the latest to stay up to date on everything happening as we push towards the playoffs. So you can watch it on demand. You can watch it live on Lacrosse Now.
Yep.
Just do whatever you want and watch.
All right, time for some quick picks.
Ooh, I like this.
Finish off the show. Games coming your way tomorrow here in the college game. Why don't we start on the women's side? Michigan and Maryland, 2 of the 3 last unbeaten teams in the country. Who stays unbeaten?
I think it's going to be Maryland just because they're so ahead of everybody else.
Yeah.
And I think Michigan, they've had a great season so far, but Maryland's a different beast. And Michigan's had some good wins this year, too.
I'm with you. Look, it's one thing to beat good teams that Michigan has beaten. They've beaten a bunch of good ranked teams. Another thing to beat a great team. Maryland is a great team, great program. Yeah, Coach Hannah Nielsen and company do that, they're going to get #1 votes.
They should.
They might.
That'd be interesting.
That would be legit. Why don't we roll into the men's side now? Notre Dame and Duke. Who you got? Big ACC game.
I like John Danowski coming off a loss. I'm going with Duke.
Oh, it's like Coach K going off a lot.
Yeah.
This is interesting because both these teams need it. Duke is all of a sudden sitting there and like they could finish 4th in the ACC, maybe 5th, and that's bad because that means you got to play a playing game to get into the semifinals. Must win kind of for both. I kind of like Notre Dame.
This is the slowest quick pick ever.
I kind of like Notre Dame. I'm going to go with the Irish.
You're going with the Irish?
Duke has been, they still need to find a guy. They haven't found the guy.
The Irish did already sort of had their lull when they gave up all those leads. So I feel like you're right. And that they sort of put that stuff to bed.
I don't know if I trust the Irish.
They put that stuff to bed when they beat Syracuse last week. I think that's interesting, but I like Duke. All right.
Carolina, Virginia.
Carolina had their moment against Duke last week. Rivalry game, you beat Duke. And Virginia, I like the way they're trending. I like their team. They've sort of had a magic. They had a good movement to them this year.
This may be the Cavs year. This may be the Cavs weekend. They got the men's basketball team in the Final Four. Lacrosse team with the big showdown
had a debate,
in North
remember,
Carolina.
of which Virginia team would go farther. Didn't we at one point?
I think we might have. Honestly, I think this is Virginia. Both. I think Cavs win the national championship in basketball, and I think they're going to get this one as well.
We'll check in on Tuesday.
How about Ohio State and Penn State?
Got to say Penn State, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Sunday night.
I think Ohio State might have got exposed a little bit against Rutgers, unfortunately for them, but I think they can bounce back. Well-coached team. I just think Penn State, too much firepower.
Panzer Stadium. Under the lights.
They've got all sorts of promotions going on for the kids.
They've got a new student section on one side of the field that is right behind the opposing team's bench.
Yeah.
This is well thought out.
Keep an eye on Granny Ment once again in this game, just to see after we saw the first game back, second game back. I think is just as important as the first game.
# we are still going to keep on rolling. Finally, Delaware and Drexel, CAA Game of the Week. You can see here on LSN.
This is a really tough one. I think both of these. I think Drexel's motivated, but Delaware's shown that they can score an offense and they can play great defense with DeLuca in goal. I'm gonna go with Drexel. I think I like their firepower going up against that. I think they have enough firepower against that defense.
Yeah.
And I think they've played some better teams too than Drexel has so far this year. I think the record's a little bit of a misnomer.
Yeah, this is Delaware's strength is definitely the defense. Drexel's strength is the offense. There's strength versus strength on that end. It'll be interesting to see what happens at the other end. I think the Dragons get enough by them, so I'm with you. I like Drexel. I like this Drexel team. They got a lot of offensive options.
Yeah, they're fun.
They are fun.
Colin Mailman.
Colin Mailman.
Colin Mailman.
Send it in.
Let's go Postal. All right, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, LSN College Central. Right here, Lac Sports Network tomorrow morning. We'll be right here.
Yeah. We may just sleep here. Who knows?
You could.
We'll see you tomorrow.